For many people, growing up in the hood is a prison. They feel hopeless, like they have no future. Their only chance for a better life is to become the next LeBron James or Beyonce, or worse, the local drug dealer. But what if they're wrong? My name is David Jones, and I am living proof there is another way. Join me in exploring the lives of men and women who defied the odds and became powerful players on the world stage. My name is David Jones, and this is Defying the Odds.
So we're here at HD Film to meet with our man, Jace Hall, one of the major players in the gaming industry. Let's go see what he's up to. When I think of video games, I think of Jason Hall, the man, my man, a good friend. He makes video games, film, television shows. Jay, how did it start, man?
Well, okay, so I was born in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
In the projects. Very underprivileged. And my mother and father weren't married. And my mother wanted to move to California. And so she took me and we went to California. And we grew up on, had welfare and food stamps, and I went to public school. Coming to grips and coping with that sort of sent me into my own little world. And it's sort of in that sort of repressed mix of some violence, some fear in the home. I sort of vanished into comic books and sort of began to create my own little fantasy world, which later turns into the video games and the movies and the TV shows, all of this fantasy, as the little boy tries to fulfill his dreams.
Let me ask you, Jay, I understand that your father wasn't in the home. How would the path have changed if your father was in the home?
When I grew up, I didn't have anybody to look up to. I didn't have anybody to tell me what I should aspire towards or what was right and wrong. There were no parameters, nothing to follow at all. So probably the biggest change that would have occurred is I would have had someone I could have asked questions to. Hey, I'm presented with this problem, Dad. How would I solve it? And so my response was to gravitate towards fiction for my role models. So suddenly comic book heroes were my role models. Characters in movies were my role models. And I chose these heroes because they were always consistent. No matter what the problem was, they were always themselves, they always behaved in a certain way, and they never let you down. So I looked to those examples and I took their core values of what a hero is and what a male, these sort of hyper-exaggerated male archetypes I took on as a little kid as that, I guess, is what a man should be. And so those sort of values have guided me, interestingly enough, throughout my life in a positive way.
If you were to name a few of those values off the top of your head, what would you say? What did those action figures or the comic book figures teach you? What disciplines did you learn from them?
Most of the heroes in comic books or in movies or something it's all about dealing with fear. They are fearless. They're presented with a situation that has little hope and no obvious answer. And by staying true to who they were as their character, they make their way through it towards a positive result, no matter what people were telling them, no matter how it looked. So I would say one of the core things that came across to me was it didn't really matter what other people were saying to me, whether I couldn't do this or this was impossible. I knew that if I just simply focused and believed in myself.
So in your case, you come from just a mother. I don't want to say this wrong. Is it that she didn't give you enough attention?
She was very focused on her own self.
Maybe had you at an early age?
So her perception of other people and their relevance to how it relates to her, everything is in relation to her. So I didn't have any guidance one way or the other than if I did something that interfered with what she was doing, then I'd get in trouble. Then it would be a problem. With the lack of that guidance, I also didn't have someone telling me I couldn't do something, right, in the home.
Right.
All right, and I didn't have someone saying I could do. I was just left to me to figure out. So all that I had was society to tell me the yes and no's, but it does a very poor job to really define things. When I was growing up, there was no safety, and the most unsecure place for me psychologically was home. I wound up sort of building my own little universe around myself to create my own sensation of safety, which taught me sort of how to behave in these sort of chaotic situations. I'm not frightened by anything. What could be worse than what I was in from my perspective, right? In the end, the characteristics that I adopted from this combination of characters was only just sort of a survival mechanism of having some stability, some kind of stability in my life when there wasn't. So that's why I can understand if people get involved in gangs or people get involved in whatever they can find that creates a sensation of stability is what they're really ultimately looking for. And so, I'm just here to say that those things can be found outside of negative, sort of choices.
What is this stuff, man? What's going on up here?
It runs the gamut here. I like to have a relaxed, creative atmosphere. So what I do is I try to sprinkle my office with some of the things that I work on or have touched or.
We had enough time, dude. I think, you know what?
Don't say it. Listen, there are no video games that have ever been created or ever will be created that you will beat me at. Do you understand? That's just not. Dude, that's all there is to it.
Dude, I'll take off my shirt right now. We can play, because that's the only way I can play, is with my shirt off. Let's make it happen, Captain.
Let's not make that happen.
All right. Through the circumstances that you grew up in, how did you get to where you are now? You're a CEO, you're a president. How did you get this? How did you get this thing started?
There was a point when I was younger where I realized that the things that I had been told just simply weren't true. So the very sort of foundation that I built my perception of the world on sort of shattered underneath me. It's kind of like, if you ever saw the movie The Matrix.
Yes.
Neo takes this pill and suddenly he realizes he's inside this computer system and it just forever changes his perception on what can and cannot be done. It's really just sort of that simple. So I'm told by my mom, I'm told by the schools, I'm told by the various normal authority figures that if you stick to this plan, if you do what we say, if you do these things in these particular order, this is the result you will get. You're just told that, right? Well, there was a point where I realized they didn't know what they were talking about, what they were saying was actually not true, and if that wasn't true, then all these other things must not be true, and then oh my God, there are no rules. People are just making up their own rules, and then they're locked by them. What happens is you go to school, you get your college loans, you come out of college, you have all this debt, you immediately have to get a job to pay that back because you can't get out of it, and then you're caught in this loop, and you can't get up, and you're caught in this loop, and you're caught in this. That didn't make any sense. I do not have a college degree. I don't have one. Never went to college, okay? I have my high school degree. I did not get A's. In fact, high school to me was just like, I had to be there. I did the minimum that I needed to do. I didn't want to be there, okay? And yet, I have had people with their PhDs and master's degrees work for me, report to me. I've held extremely high positions at very large, powerful corporations that we all know about.
Right.
That should be impossible. This kid that grew up on welfare with no college degree, it has these people who had every advantage in the world, and they ask him for the answer. How could that be? That doesn't make any sense until you realize everybody's just sort of making up these rules, and these rules are structured so that the people who have stuff, power and authority, keep it. They will teach you what they need in order to stay up on top. Well, I just realized, well, I'm just gonna start making up my rules. There's no reason why I can't do something else. You're a human being, I'm a human being. Why are you're not, we can all do the same things, right? So why not? When you think to yourself, hey, I wanna do this. I wanna become a big movie director, right? Let's say you're just sitting in the middle of South Central Los Angeles. There's gangs and drugs happening around you. You're just like, I just want to be a big movie director. I can't do that. I didn't finish high school. I can't do that, right? You get in your own way. Why not? Really? You can't just pick up a camera and just go make something, try, and just go do it? You actually, it turns out, you can.
So basically what you're telling our viewers out there, you know, like an air zone, no flight zone.
Right.
This is a no excuse zone. So
Right.
you're basically telling them there's no excuse why you shouldn't be as successful as you want to be.
I can promise you that if I can make it, if I can actually carve out some sort of existence and pay my bills and not hurt people along the way, they can too. I went to public school. I was on the busing program. I had lunch tickets, didn't get A's, right? Like, so sure. My career went into video games, right? Why? Because I like to play them. It was just that simple. I played in the Atari, and then computers came out, right? And you could play games on it. So I just had to use a computer to play games. It was that simple. And to use a computer, I had to learn how to. I never took a computer class in my life.
Did you hear that?
I'm telling you, I can program a computer in multiple languages today. I taught myself how to do that. I went to this bookstore, and you just read the book, and you just do it. It really isn't, I'm not good at math. It is a discipline. And what I wish young males would have more of is that discipline to do things that feel, at the moment, maybe it's painful. At the moment, maybe it's boring, undesirable, but you have the discipline to go through that, and you avoid the immediate gratification. Where I just want to do this right now and it feels great, because at the end of the day, when you're my age, and if all you've done is try to immediately gratify yourself, trust me, you're not going to have anything. You just won't. What you should take pride in and build in is your discipline, your honor in who you are as a person.
I'm noticing your wall over here.
When I was starting Monolith,
Uh-huh.
I raised money, and we raised $12 million, and that was the first check that came through. So I decided to frame it, or a copy of it, and put it on the wall. I try to put not only accomplishments, but also failures on my wall, so that people can see. The point is not to be successful every time. The point is to go on the adventure.
What would you say to a viewer right now that's looking at the show, that's in high school, that lives in South Central LA? Because I don't want them to think that school has nothing to do with their future, which in a sense, you defied that.
I think school is a very valuable thing. You have to learn whatever it is that you want to go do. You have to study and learn things. School is a great place to go to get a generalized education so that you can help learn what your options are. Because if you don't even know what your options are to investigate further, it gets harder for you to find that thing that's going to make you happy and excited. And when you're happy and excited, you then start to become successful. School is work. That's how you have to view it. You're putting in work, and it will pay later. Now, could you not go to school and put in the same amount of work learning some subject, sure, you can go to the library, you can you can go get books, but it's more about developing the discipline of learning.
So
You know what I'm saying? So you go to school to master the discipline of learning, because that discipline is what you will apply to everything else that comes forward in your life. Who cares if you're learning trigonometry and you're never going to use it? It doesn't matter. You've learned the discipline.
You know, growing up in LA, man, I mean, you see things that I think your vision begins to form from the things that you see as a young kid.
Oh, of course.
When I saw things like, as far as guys driving nice cars, guys driving the big rims on the cars, how did you veer away from that? How did you stay away from it? Because it's easy to be influenced by someone. You see someone with the big fat money and you're young, you're a kid, you know, you're just willing to go in any direction the wind blows you in some cases.
I never put a lot of value in just the pure acquisition of objects. It doesn't, even as a kid, I could see those things. I'd see, you know, they go by and there'd be these, you know, on the big wheels and their stereos running, and it's cool. But to me, having the stuff isn't what matters. It's the pursuit. It's the setting the goal and accomplishing things. That's really the fun part. It's like a video game. You buy a video game to play it.
Right.
So imagine you just put it in and then you just see the winning screen and it's over, because you're like, that's not even exciting. Why did I even? The point is to play, right? So drugs, getting involved in that business on a low level, on a lower level, is quick money.
Right.
Quick money.
Yeah.
Relative, the amount of money you're getting relative to the effort you're putting out, right? Because really you're getting paid for the risk.
Yeah.
It's a risk return thing that's going on there. You're risking going to jail. That's why the money is involved there. That just was never very interesting to me. All that really matters is, as a person, there are things that you feel that you want to do. And if you really look at, okay, gosh, I want to have a big $1 million house, right? Okay, but why? Why do you want that exactly? If I gave it to you now, okay, you have it. Are you fulfilled? Are you done? Are you just ready to die now? I think everybody would do themselves a favor by taking a look at the end result of what they want and asking why they want it, and if they got it immediately, what else is there? Because it'll turn out that really what they want is something else that yields them the big house.
Right.
Right? I want to play basketball and be so good at it that I can get a contract and have the house. I don't want the house and skip the basketball part, right? So that's different for everybody, whatever that thing is. And I've just pursued it in my own way, and you have this little repressed kid who lives in a little fantasy universe, and then he starts to make content about fantasy universes and stuff, right? It's a direct, why is he built up? Well, the superheroes, they have muscles, and so Jason has to go, and it's all obvious, right? We all sort of operate within these spheres, but I'm here to tell you that you can achieve whatever it is that you want. You really can. Just identify what it is that you want.
So, in a nutshell, a mother who didn't give you the attention that you needed, from what I see, a low-income household,
Yep.
an atmosphere that was consistent of drug violence, gangs. I'm gonna put a stamp on it, dude. You are defying the odds. And I hope all our viewers see your story and hear your story and know that because of my circumstances, and because of my circumstances as well, it doesn't matter. You identify with what you like and you run with it and you make a success story.
Yeah, well, of course. And you understand this, you're going to have challenges. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, there's gonna be challenges, but that's the point. You want challenges. Those are the things that you overcome in your pursuit of what's in your heart. That is what makes your life meaningful to you. So yes, you can accomplish whatever you want. You have more access today to information and knowledge than I did when I was growing up. You can get on the internet and everything you ever need to know about anything is right there. So there really isn't any excuse per se for someone to not pursue what they want, other than laziness,
Right.
other than people thinking that they deserve things. No one deserves any. Hey, let me tell you right now. Get rid of the entitlement. Go earn it. Go earn it and take joy in the earning process. The act of getting there. That's the point.
At this point of the show, we want you, the viewers, to interact with Jason face to face and maybe ask some questions that I didn't cover. Well, here he is.
Hey Jace, my name is John. A lot of parents think video games are worthless. What is your take on it?
Video games tend to use a combination of cognitive ability. School is a lot of memorization and regurgitation, but in video games you have actual thinking problems that need to be solved. And depending on the type of game, you're going to get variations of level of difficulty or relevance to society. But no, worthless, far, far from it.
Okay, thanks Tex.
My name's Amanda. I don't hear much about women in the video game industry. Do you have any advice?
There are a lot of women in very powerful positions running the video game business, particularly in the areas of marketing and in public relations. It's mostly female dominated. When people think historically of sort of traditional video game players, they think of like that teen boy, but 60% of video game players are female, and there's a lot of women behind the creation of these games. So what would I recommend? I mean, if you're a woman and you're interested in getting in the video game business, there's a lot of opportunity.
Thank you, Jace.
So Big J, we want to thank you, man, for taking the time out.
It's my pleasure, sir. It's an honor.
There's no further ado, baby. It's a wrap.
That's it.
That's it, man. Big J. Man, I appreciate you, man. What an amazing time we had. Man, did y'all feel that story? We want to give thanks to Jace Hall and the HD family. Stay tuned next week when we bring you another big player who came from the slums to make it on the big stage in life. I'm out of here, baby.